Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Michi Makes Up. Today we're going to take a very dedicated look to Sonia G's new Fusion brush set. These brushes are made to be used for liquid foundations or liquid products, cream products, as well as mineral foundations and even powders. I will demonstrate each of them for you today. As you can see, I don't have any makeup on other than my brows and some primer. So these brushes are made in Kumano, Japan, as are all of Sonia G's brushes. The brushes are made up of natural and synthetic fibers. It is made up of undyed goat hair, and for the synthetic fibers, they've been dyed brown. And I think aesthetically, they look really beautiful. And for someone unsuspecting, I think these might even appear like they're natural brushes as well. There's a very specific reason why these have a mix of both natural fibers or natural hairs and synthetic fibers. The reason being, according to Sonia G, and a lot of the information that I talk about that are very specific on these brushes are taken from Sonia G's blog, so I'll have a link below. I'll also take some information from Beautylicious website, but the reason why she wanted to do a combo of both synthetic and natural hairs is that there are advantages to both types of fibers and hairs. With the natural hair, the goat hair is good at absorbing oil on the skin, and it helps with increased ease for diffusing, so it gives you a smoother blended in application. And synthetic fibers don't absorb as much product as natural hairs, and you can actually move the product around easier, which I can attest to before even using these brushes. Having been using cream foundation or stick foundations for the past 2 months, it is certainly easier to use a synthetic brush to blend in the product than it is a natural brush. So the combination of these two, you get the best of both worlds. You get the blendability with the synthetic fibers, and it's easier to diffuse without having to take up or your brush absorbing too much product, so it all just lends itself to a very seamless and smooth, even application. So I'm excited to show this or demo this for you. I have used each of these brushes at least once since I've received them, so really excited to show you guys today on camera. And before your first use, these brushes are meant to be washed so that they can splay out or fluff out into their kind of intended shape. I'm going to apply concealer first. These brushes were really designed for bigger surface areas. And while you can use these smaller brushes for eyeshadow, whether cream or even powder, I think I'll focus on using these on the face rather than the eyes. But if you're so inclined to, you can certainly use this to blend out. I do think when it comes to eyeshadows, well, for me anyways, my collection is mostly powdered eyeshadows, and it's just the natural hairs do a better job of diffusing everything and placing the product on. And I do actually use my concealer. This actually doubles as concealer and foundation. It's from Merit. It's their Minimalist Complexion Stick, and this is in the shade Bisque. So I do apply that onto the lids to give it a base color. It does help grip eyeshadow when I put it on and kind of brightens everything up so that the shadows will appear more true to color or more what it looks like in the pan. So that's the reason why I do it. And I have two options from the set, or actually I have three. We can talk about each one of them. It is the soft concealer, the jumbo concealer, and the mini base. Now, if you're in a pinch and you only have, say, something like classic base, you could also make do. You can make do with your fingers as well, but I think you can also make do even though this is much bigger than these three. But if you have the entire Fusion set or you're looking into it, you certainly have a lot of options, which is what I really like. I like having options. The soft concealer, the bristles are longer than the jumbo. And overall, it has this like dome shape here, whereas the jumbo is more of a paddle shaped brush. and the bristles are shorter. So with the soft concealer, the application will be softer because the bristles are longer. And with the jumbo concealer, because of its shorter bristles and the paddle shape of it, you're gonna get like a more opaque application, like a heavier application. So I will use both of these, one for each side, and let's compare. So this is the right side, and I'm going into the left side with the jumbo. So this is the left side with the jumbo concealer and right side with the soft concealer. The result of the two are not that noticeable, but going in with the brush, you do feel this is more of a patting the concealer on, whereas this, if you wanted to blend it, it feels more intuitive between the two. I think it just depends on your preference and the product. Some concealers being more liquid, you might actually find one works better for you than the other. Because I did use this cream concealer here, there's really little variance. So for me, whether I use one over the other is gonna be, I think, completely preference based. I'm just gonna go back in and conceal any other areas with red, and then we can move on to setting the foundation as well as putting on other cream products. Now I can, because the surface areas I've covered is larger, I can very well go into the mini base and blend these out. And because the areas that I just concealed, it's more spread out, it covers a larger area, I can definitely go in with the mini base to make quick blending of everything. Now, because I've used the mini base for a long time now, the mini base is the same as the mini base brush from Sonia G's Kayaki brush set, which by the way is still available. So I'm not going to do that because through my many uses of this brush, I prefer it for cream contours and cream blushes, even cream highlights or liquid highlights. So I'm going to save it for the blush application part of it. And I like to try the jumbo concealer instead because of that opaque effect that it has, especially with these areas here. It's like at any moment I'm going to break out down here. I really want more concealing and I don't want the concealer to move easily when I go on to apply my setting powders. I'm really liking this brush because I just kind of pat and it's nicely concealed. Once you start blending in your foundation and put on setting powder, it becomes just like incognito, right? You've perfected your skin, you've hid like the red, anything with red, anything that you're looking to spot conceal. And now let's move on to foundation. So this is still the Merit Beauty complexion stick, and this is in the color Bisque. The one I was using before is Linen because I do like my concealer to have a brightening effect. Bisque is much closer to my actual skin color this time of the year. For foundation, we have two brushes to choose from. We have the classic base and the jumbo base. The classic and jumbo are obviously different shapes, different sizes. I think the classic is more similar in shape to the mini base. than of course it is to the jumbo. And the jumbo is actually slanted. It's very interesting. Let's try using the classic on one side and then the jumbo on the other side. What I find with all of these brushes is you really don't need too much pressure, and it does a fine job of moving the product and giving you a blended look. I'm gonna go back in with a few more touch-ups here. So this is the right side, and I feel like it looks pretty blended in, and it felt really effortless to go in. You can do pats too, and I think that'll give you good coverage if it's something like very creamy, but I opted to kind of do a buffing motion, and I think I'm fairly happy with how this turned out. Okay, now onto the other side with the jumbo base. So this is the left side with the jumbo base. And I feel like the application is a little bit, in comparison, is more sheer with the jumbo than it is with classic. And I think it has to do with how the size of this. You can see that it was much quicker for me to diffuse and blend out compared to the classic, but I think you do end up maybe moving the product around a bit more. And it does remind me of my BP foundation brush. I think this is the BP 13. Hold on, let me take that out and show you guys. And this is my Koyudo BP 13 foundation brush. It's so fluffy and covers a lot of area. I get a very sheer application with this brush compared to something that is more dense. So this is natural hair, this is synthetic, but this is from Merit Beauty. It's much denser and not as fluffy. So I just get kind of like a more opaque application, and this does sheer out the product quite a bit because, again, of its size and how just, you know, airy it feels. So while this is not airy in any way, this is very densely packed. I think because of its size, it can sheer out your application. So depending on what you're trying to go for and how you use your brushes, because this is more conducive to like a pat or tap and glide, whereas this is more conducive for that. It feels better to use it that way for me. So I think a large part of it is going to be up to your preference and how you apply them. And second, there is, I think, a difference in terms of the finish. One being that it is heavier or more full coverage, and the other can potentially shear things out a bit. For setting powder, I am using just a loose powder from Milk Makeup. And normally, or recently, I have been using Sonia G's Face One. So the Face One came back in stock, I think in July. July was a huge Sonia G brush month. But yes, I have been using this and just kind of applying the powder on in a buffing motion. I really, really love this brush. Love it. When it comes back in stock, I'll definitely post something on Instagram and here on YouTube in the community tab, just to give you guys a heads up. But I love this, and I understand what the fuss or the hype around this brush is now. It really is very nice. So I'm gonna go in with the jumbo base and just tapping the product on, and then I'm going to kind of tap it on my face and see if I could blend it into the skin that way. So I applied a few layers of powder, and It's just not as intuitive as something much fluffier in comparison. So I have, previous to using Face 1, I was using the Master Face 2. And so this, I think, is just very, very dense. I'm actually gonna go into Face 1 to finish up the powders so I can speed this part up. All right, so I do think that the jumbo base is more suited for those creams, liquid foundation for all over the face use. This angled shape here is very nice for, you know, these areas that you want to contour around or just, you know, have an easier time blending. I find that, again, using these smaller brushes to address these areas here and then going in with this afterwards is nice. I get good coverage here. This is usually where I have the most trouble with good blending, but I find that with this brush, after using something to really get the concealing in, this works very well with it, and I'm pretty happy with the finish. So between these two, I'm actually happy with the finish on both sides. You could say I might like this a little bit better because, again, it can get into these areas a little bit easier. But the difference between the two is just very, very minor. And I think at the end of the day, it just comes down to like what feels better when you use these. I think this does save you a little bit of time, but this might be able to get you into more detail areas here. Yeah, overall, just nice. I'm pretty happy so far. Blush, I'm going into Milk's Cream Cheek Blush color here. This is in the shade Work. I can do this two ways. I can dab the brush and then apply, or put it on my cheeks. Usually I just go in and do that. So I'm gonna keep with that habit and just blend out here. I am using the mini base. So this is blended out with the mini base. I love this shade. It just works with any makeup look. I'm gonna go in for a second application. Yeah, I think this is so lovely. Just the shade, and this I know is gonna be easy to work with because it has kind of been my go-to brush for creams. So out of curiosity, I'm gonna go back in with a different fusion brush here. And I'm kind of leaning towards soft concealer just to see what that is like. And I have my thoughts on what I'm gonna get or how it's gonna feel, but let's give it a try anyway. I think it does not blend the cream blush, or at least on the side of my cheek, as well as the mini base here. So let me go in with a mini base to get that product evened out, and you can instantly just see the difference. And then what I'm going to do is use the soft concealer to go into this cream blush because I want to actually add some onto my nose. I'm going for an all over glow today. And I think when you need to do like a little bit more detailed work, this brush is excellent for that. Love it. I love using this for smaller areas. I think it does just a fine job. And for highlighter, I'm going to use Lisa Eldridge's Elevated Glow, and this is in Crystal Nebula. And I'm putting it onto the high points. I also feel like we can go back in to use this brush, but we're gonna give the Jumbo Concealer a try. So I do think with the Jumbo Concealer, you get a very opaque type of finish and blending. If you want to go for something a little bit more blended out, like on the tip of my nose, I definitely don't, want that there. It looks like I have whiteout on. I need more blending. So I think this is the one. The soft concealer is gonna do the trick. But with more, if you want more opacity, you know, more of that bling effect, I think the Jumbo Concealer will give you that. I'm gonna use the soft concealer on the other side just to show you guys the difference between the two. You can see this is more blended out, more diffuse, softer, and this is more packed on. Still blended in, but you can see the effects more. And I love that. I love the two options here. You know, could you have too many brushes if you're already a collector? I think the answer is no. But if you were just looking to get a good set of brushes for creams and liquids, even if these brushes can, you know, they overlap in their jobs and do different things well, it's still good to have the option and know that, hey, I can get this, or if I want to go for something a little bit more toned down, a little bit softer, that tool is there for me to use as well. This is the finished look, and I like how everything turned out. I think these brushes offer really beautiful, even and smooth application, as advertised and described by Sonia G. And yeah, I really like these. She had been working on these brushes when I first got into this makeup channel and Sonia G, so it was last year, early last year. I remember her saying at that time she had been working on a set of brushes that are meant for liquids and cream primarily. And it's been well over a year. We finally saw these come to life, and they do not disappoint. They are also ranked at 5 stars, 5 out of 5 on Beautylish. So if you are not sold on these brushes, or you're just looking for more information, you can definitely go check out those reviews on Beautylish. Sonia G's brushes, for those who are not aware, they're only available and sold through Beautylish, an online retailer. So I'll have all the information below. And I think by now there's been a lot of reviews, a lot of review videos on these brushes too as well. So hopefully if you've seen a couple of them, maybe I was able to offer some additional information for you guys to consider. So what I'd like to do here very soon is to do a video comparing the Lotus set against the Fusion set and also the Keyaki set as well. We can see that the handles for all three sets are different. They're very different from each other, especially the Keyaki set having mini handles. But because these brushes do overlap in functionality, I think people just getting into Fude or Sonia G, or those who, you know, really just want to focus on getting one set rather than all of them. Hopefully I can help you answer some of your questions or give you some insight into my thoughts. So look forward to that. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. Consider giving this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and ring the bell to get notified every time new content is released. I review a lot of luxury makeup and occasionally luxury skincare, plus of course, Fude, Japanese makeup brushes. Thank you guys for watching. See you very soon. Bye.